before I begin the video, I want to go over the four main topics, which include the rise of ZO, the beginning downfall, the later on descending downfall, and the potential and ideas that could arrive to ZO in the future. So for some context, ZO was created on April 14th, 2021 by Tampered Reality. The game was new and there were a lot of bugs, but it began to grow quickly after its release, and later on large YouTubers like CB and others began to film about the game. The ZO community grew and the game did as well. Updates were frequent, weapons were added, and soon weapons like the Cannibal were added as well. Game passes were there were a lot of game passes, including the custom chat, the chill emotes, custom kill sounds were being added as the game progressed, and more updates were to follow. As of now, or as of the time being when ZO was released, the game averaged approximately 5,000 to 8,000 players on average per day, and during the time period of early ZO. In general, the game was booming. There were a lot of frequent bugs in the beginning, but they were released 1 or 2 weeks after the complaints went through. There were seasons such as Christmas and similar things like that, like Halloween. When those times came around, the game updated the map, which was great, and a lot of new features and fixes and changes were added and being progressed in early ZO. So the beginning downfall occurred, I would say, approximately 4 to 5 months after the game was released, due to things like people just getting bored of doing the same thing, going to the main map and just, killing others with either katana, nagi, and other weapons. It just gets boring for some people, so that's why that was maybe, in my opinion, the beginning downfall of ZO. And I feel like the majority of it took place and came to effect near the aftermath of the Cannibal update. So basically, when the new weapon was added, everything went well at first, and it was just another weapon being added besides the katana and nagi. However, for the following 4 to 5 months after the Cannibal was added, no new weapons were being placed in the game, which led to a lack of ideas for some YouTubers to make content, and people disliking the game more because they only had 3 options to choose from. Also, the in-game changes such as the custom kill sound effect was limited later on to 6 seconds due to ZO having to abide to the Roblox guidelines, so that sucked. However, even during the early downfall of the game averaged 3K to 6K players, which was still good. However, the game was becoming less enjoyable as time progressed, which was a bad sign. I personally love the game, and I think it's a great game. However, I wish there were more updates, and I wish they were more frequent. So for some more context, the game is approximately 1 year and 2 months old, and it still has a decently large player base, which is great. And although this is the beginning downfall, there's sadly more to come, and I'll get onto that in my next segment. So the descending downfall era, and I'm gonna call it an era because an era is something that takes place during a certain time period. It took place from it started in late 2021, and it is still going on to present time as I am speaking. And it's basically where YouTubers begin to question whether or not they could continue playing the game due to the extremely low amount of updates and only tiny updates taking place, such as something like a weapon skin or a feature being added, nothing too major. So what keeps games like ZO running, it consists of frequent updates, new weapons, codes, new ideas being brought forward, and game modes. And I will talk further about what I mean by game modes in the next segment. However, in general, game modes are extremely important, and I will get back to that as soon as possible. Moving forward, ZO in general began to become bitter in the mouths of the creator itself before the players. And what I mean by that is that basically developers usually lose interest in their own game because they just don't typically find it to be enjoyable, and it's not their fault, it's just something that takes place and occurs. And the lack of ideas in general leads to less updates, which also affects the game's performance, and that has a negative impact on the player count as well. During this era of descending downfall, the game averaged approximately 2.8k players to at most 5k players, and sadly the game continued to lose interest of many people on the platform. However, small updates like the in-game clan brought some people back, but it wasn't enough to satisfy the majority of people. So for potential end ideas, I'm just going to go over where ZO could be 3 months from now, and ideas that I believe would indefinitely help the game grow. So this game has a huge amount of potential. In fact, I believe that its growth has only and will only begin later on. ZO just, in my opinion, needs ideas and plans that will actually go through and be updated into the game. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but 2 weeks ago, a guy known as X Locus, I think that's how you pronounce it, purchased ZO from Tampered Reality, and as of now, the game has been striving. Although there were no updates, it averages 5,000 to 6,000 players, and the new owners of the game seem to understand what they're doing and what path the future of ZO will look like. And if you guys aren't aware or don't know who this new owner of ZO is, he basically owns a lot of simulator games with 12,000 players, and he has experience obviously with dealing with these types of games. So hopefully ZO will see a bright future, and more funding is most likely going to come to the game, and future updates should be expected. If you guys haven't noticed, there are much more new icons and thumbnails being added to the game recently, and so we can hope for a positive future for ZO. As for my ideas for the game, we must first look at a game called Your Bizarre Adventure, and this is a screenshot of the loading page, and what I believe would be a huge update, potential, and solution to people disliking the game ZO is just the screenshot itself. So I'll go over it with you guys. So to the far left, you have the main game, which ZO already has, and it's just where people hang out, grind souls, etc. And in the middle, this is just a game mode. Like it has potential to be anything. Like the owners and developers can just make a game mode, and it can be whatever they choose. For example, you need 5,000 souls in order to play this game mode, for example, to encourage people to grind souls and stuff. And in the far right, we have a 1v1s game mode, which I believe would be the most important way to grow ZO activity in the game, because I believe that people are competitive in this game, and people would highly enjoy a 1v1 system with a leaderboard, and more competition would be enhanced, and game modes such as these would definitely build interest in the game. And I hope updates like these will come in the future, and the game will continue to strive. That is all for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Goodbye.